In part 3 and 4 of the video set, we have discussed the origin of Siva and Vishnu worship, who are the first level representing the creation and the second level representing household deities respectively. Now, for representing the highest level of wisdom, there should be a deity. Amanan, which is also called Samanan, are the general names of Aaseevaham sage. The greatest samana, that is Amana, is a yogi who has achieved the highest wisdom. Periya or Perum are the Tamil equivalents of the word greatest. For instance, Perum plus all, Perumal, Perumal. Perumal is one of the names of Vishnu. This name also proves further that Vishnu was a human Siddha, which we have established in video part 4. Likewise, Periya plus Amanan, Peramanan, Piramanan, Brahmanan, Brahman. Hence, Brahmanan is one who has learnt all arts and attained enlightenment through his yogic practices. This is the title one earns through many years of diligent study and meditation. Hence, this word is a Tamil word and belongs to Aaseevaham. The color representing this stage is white and is related to enlightenment. Hence, the Indo-Aryans who strayed into the Indian subcontinent through Khyber Pass are not to be called Brahmana. One shall ask then how the Indo-Aryans came to be called Brahmins. Let me explain. Indo-Aryans who came from the very cold northern regions of the earth are white in color. Tamils living nearer to equator are black in color. Why should the people of hot zone be black? The average body temperature of humans is about 37 degrees Celsius. Except a brief period during hot seasons, the average temperature of the surroundings of South India is only slightly less than body temperature, and hence heat is available aplenty here. A black body would radiate heat rapidly, and hence tropical man is black in order to maintain his body temperature at 37 degrees. The black body absorbs heat also rapidly, but since man can control his exposure to direct sunlight, the nature chose the color of his body as black to easily radiate excess heat quickly in order to maintain his body temperature at 37 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, in very cold places away from equator, the environmental temperature is sub-zero most part of the year, and the human body would be radiating its body heat to the surroundings. The rate of radiation is proportional to the square of the temperature difference between the body and the surroundings, which is more than 40 degrees, and hence heat loss would be phenomenal. The body requires more and more food to burn in order to keep the body temperature at 37 degrees. Hence, as per natural selection, man's original black body became white, as white color does not radiate heat easily. This is the reason why the Nordic people are white-skinned. Mankind had evolved as black from the tropical region, and when they moved to colder regions of the earth, he became whitish in color due to natural selection. Hence, Tamils and Africans living near equator are black, and Aryans living in cold regions are white in color, and these Aryans were once black, and they migrated away from the submerged Kumari continent south of India, and hence they too were Tamils earlier. The Arabs being wheatish in color and Mongolians being yellowish in color all evolved due to environmental conditions only. Mongolian is a deformed Tamil name. Manjal, Mangal, Mongol, Mongolian. Manjal means turmeric in Tamil. Here, Manjal refers to the color of turmeric. Sa or Ja sound would deform to Ka or Ga sound, like Seralam becoming Keralam. Let me now return to the Brahma concept of Aaseevaham. During the Indus Valley civilization, Tamils lived throughout the Indian subcontinent. The North Indian, that is, Indus Tamils, were of dark brown colored skin, and South Indian Tamils were of black colored skin, which was decided by their proximity to the equator, the hottest zone. Both South and North Indian Tamils who attained enlightenment were called Brahmanan, according to the Aaseevaham tradition, and they are attributed to the white color indicative of their wisdom. The Aaseevaham Siddhas who attained Brahminhood wore white dress too. The Indo-Aryans who strayed into India learned this concept of Aaseevaham and claimed cunningly that they qualify to be the real Brahmins as their skin color itself is white. While the Tamils could reach Brahminhood only after several years of strenuous wisdom seeking, the Indo-Aryans hijacked this concept, saying that they are Brahmins by birth, as the skin color itself was white, which according to Aaseevaham represents wisdom. This currency would have worked with the majority of lay Tamils, and Brahman was successfully hijacked by the Indo-Aryans. Having hijacked Brahma, they wanted this god exclusively for them. Otherwise, one day or other, it would be established that Brahma is a concept of Aaseevaham. Hence, they created Puranic story which was suggestive that one shall not build temple for Brahma. The story goes like this. Shiva seems to have challenged both Vishnu and Brahma to find the foot and head respectively of Shiva himself. Vishnu took Varaha avatar and started digging the ground. He dug quite some and could not find the feet of Shiva and gently accepted his failure. On the other hand, Brahma started on his swan vehicle and headed for the head of Shiva. He went quite some distance up. A Tharambu came down from above, and Brahma asked where it was coming from. It replied that it was coming from the head of Shiva. Brahma asked it how long it would take to reach his head. It replied that it would be next to impossible to reach his head, as the poo itself was traveling for several yugas of time. Then Brahma asked it to be his false witness to tell Shiva that he had reached his head. When they claimed victory, Shiva cursed both for lying and said that hereon Brahma shall not have a temple and Tharambu would not be used for puja of Shiva. That was why Brahma temples were not built in India. Varaha avatar was created to loot Brahma concept from Tamils. Despite being abysmal stupidity, even the Indo-Aryan intellectuals of today are shamelessly subscribing to this story. This way, the Indo-Aryans hijacked Aaseevaham Brahma exclusively for themselves. We have already said that by showing their skin color, they claimed that they are the Brahmins by birth, and hence they ruled that every Indo-Aryan individual, irrespective of his age, has to be respected by all other colored people. Hence, the noblest Aaseevaham principle itself paved the way for its own demise, having been caught by the wrong hands. This should be an eye-opener for all. Even the greatest idea shall be utilized for mean ends by wrong hands. You might think that we are the first people to discover this fraud. Not so. Buddha himself condemned the Indo-Aryans that their concept of Brahma is completely wrong, as is shown in this slide, which is part of an article in Wikipedia. The Buddha described the Vedic Brahma as a misunderstanding or mistaken remembrance of one or more of Buddhist Brahmas, as explained in the Brahmajala Sutta. There is no identity between the Buddhist Brahmas and the Hindu conception of Brahman as an all-encompassing divine force. You can now understand the reason why the original Buddhism was eliminated from Indian soil, from its very birthplace by the Brahmins, while it is living in a number of foreign soils as the third largest religion of the world. The Buddhist Brahma that Buddha was referring to is actually Aaseevaham Brahma, which was pre-runner of Buddhism, as we had already explained. However, I do not know whether Buddha himself got the correct concept of Aaseevaham Brahma. Buddha knew only the diluted concept of Samanam, as he was not aware of the color concept of Aaseevaham. The enmity between the Indo-Aryans and Indian Tamils had started ever since Indo-Aryans entered Indian subcontinent through Khyber Pass. Indians, that is all Tamils at the time, lost every one of their possessions to the white-skinned Indo-Aryans solely because of their dark complexion. The possessions the original Indians lost to them were science, technology, astronomy, literature, fine arts like music, drama, dance, etc. We know that Aaseevaham had a 7-color concept, one color representing each wisdom stage for both Saptarishi and Saptakanyis. Saptarishi, Saptakanya are Sanskrit words, and the Tamil originals were Elu Muni and Elu Kanni respectively. We are using Sanskrit names in this product as they are more popular words today. The Indo-Aryans then replaced the 7-color, that is Varna concept of Aaseevaham, with their own 4-Varna concept to divide the Indian people. They stated that they were Brahmins and born from the forehead of Brahma, and hence they declared Brahma as a god of creation, pulling this department from Siva, who was until then a god of both creation and destruction. Even Rigveda refers to Siva as Uruthiran, who shall be expanded as Uruvakum Thiram, which means in Tamil as one who is capable of creation. One could understand this very easily. Since Shiva is in the form of Shivalingam, the reproductive organs, Shiva represents God of creation. Then how could it be attributed only to destruction? Have you ever thought of it? Isn't it a fraud to link him with the destruction only? Until then, Vishnu was only a primary domestic male god and Thirumagal called Lakshmi the primary domestic female god. Before being hijacked, Brahma should have been worshipped as the male god of supreme wisdom by the native people of Indian subcontinent. The main point is that the Indo-Aryans hijacked Brahma and claimed that they are the chosen people of Brahma as they are born from his forehead, and Sudras were the least preferred children of Brahma as they are born from his feet. Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were the people of middle order between Brahmins and Shudras. Just like Buddha and Mahavira having their own followers, Shiva, the first Tirthangara, and Vishnu, the 23rd Tirthangara, were having their own followers. The followers of Shiva were called Saivites, and the followers of Vishnu were called Vaishnavites. The word Saivam evolved from English literation of the word Sivam, and the word Vainavam evolved from the English literation of the word Vinnavam. The word Saivam spelled in English shall be read both as Sivam or Saivam. The same way, Vinnavam spelled in English shall be read both as Vinnavam or Vainavam. Hence, these new names evolved after the entry of English in Tamil Nadu. Since Vishnu was an astronomer who studied the cosmos, which is called Vin in Tamil, his followers are said to belong to Vinnavam sect. But these were part and parcel of Aaseevaham faith. There were temples for these sages and people visited them for worshipping them. The Indo-Aryans, seeking easy livelihood, drove out the Tamil pujaris and they became the priests of these temples. Though common people visited these temples for worshipping their chosen immortal gurus, they still visited the living siddhas of Aaseevaham seeking remedies for their day-to-day problems, who offered solutions free of cost. Hence, the Indo-Aryan priests could not benefit sufficiently even after taking over the priesthood of these temples. These temples were built of bricks in the pre-Christian era. Hence, well before Jnana Sambandha times, during the pre-Christian era itself, the Indo-Arya Brahmins created a well-planned rift between the kings and the Aaseevaha Siddhas. The Aaseevaha Siddhas, until then, were the advisors of the kings on various fields, occupying the Aimberayam and Enberayam ministries of the king's court. Since the Aaseevaha Siddhas were the scientists of a variety of fields, they obviously occupied these ministries of the kings. They were then permanently expelled from the ministries, and the Indo-Aryans, who called themselves as Brahmins, became the Rajagurus for the kings. This was followed by the physical elimination of the Aaseevaha Siddhas from the earth. This was a cunning ploy by the Indo-Aryans so that the common people would have to visit temples only for their problems, as the Aaseevaha ascetics were eliminated. This way, the people shall be exploited by the Indo-Arya Brahmins by conducting special pujas at a high cost in the pretext of solving their problems. Hence, under the cunning advice of Jnana Sambandha, the kings persecuted the Aaseevaka ascetics by trampling them under the feet of the elephants. The envy of the Indo-Aryans on these ascetics was of such a proportion that the Aaseevaka ascetics were crushed by the very elephants, which were the very identity of the very Aaseevaka ascetics themselves. Thousands of Aaseevaka saints were killed this way after they were made to lie down on the roads and walking elephants over them. The Siddhas living near Ennayiram were eliminated by another technique called Kaluvetram, a most cruel technique. Since the identity of Aaseevaka Siddhas were elephants, elimination of Aaseevaka Siddhas is called Gaja Samhara, and one would find statues in temples where Shiva is shown wearing the skin of elephant Asura, which was killed by Shiva and poised angrily. The elephant here represents Aaseevaham and its ascetics. In the name of Aaseevaka god Siva himself, they destroyed Aaseevaham. What an irony! That is a cunning skill of Indo-Aryans. Soon after eliminating the Aaseevaka ascetics, the Indo-Aryans started Bhakti movement. The core belief of the Bhakti movement is that if one surrenders completely to the chosen deity, he would take care of all his problems. This worked partly because faith healing is one of the techniques of medicine. Hence, Bhakti movement was started solely to fill the void left behind by the Aaseevaka Siddhas, who were until then solving the problems of the laymen. It is usually said that Bhakti movement was started to save Tamil language, as it was under attack by both Ardhamagadi of Jainism and Pali of Buddhism. It is simply not true, as Jains did not visit Tamil Nadu in large numbers, as we have proven in the first part of the video. Same way, Buddhism remained a religion of coastal region, as some of the merchants followed it, and one finds some influence around Kanchipuram, the capital of Pallava kings. In fact, there was Shiva Kanchi, Vainava Kanchi, Samana Kanchi, and Buddha Kanchi before the times of Sambandha. At the time, Hinduism was not known. Shiva, Vishnu, Parsvanatha, Markali, Mahavira, Buddha represented only Samanam, as they were all Tirthankaras. Hence, Kanchi was not a secular city as it is claimed, and that notion arises from seeing the past based on the observed practice of today. In those times, they were all known saints of Aaseevaham. Ardhamagadi was never a language of Tamil Samanam. We are aware of the violent conflict between Mahavira of Magadha country and Markali of Kanchipuram district, both being Samana saints. That is why Parinirvana Day of Mahavira is celebrated differently in north and south of India. We shall not discuss this subject anymore in this video. Hence, it is completely wrong to think that Bhakti movement came into being to save Tamil. If that be so, how come Tamil has been eliminated from Saivite temples and was replaced with Sanskrit? Even today, Sanskrit is atrociously ruling in temples of Tamil Nadu, and the divine Tamil is totally ignored. Bhakti movement was started to fill the void left behind by the Aaseevaka Siddhas. To propagate Bhakti, Tamil was used as a tool, as it was a very powerful language and the language of the sons of the soil. When Aaseevaham was destroyed, it was destroyed with its traces, and nothing remains of it as literary evidence, and we come to know of it as opponent's version only. But there were some fringe people who kept the tradition going, so that these informations were available and we could bring back to life the Tamil's long-lost tradition of philosophy, culture, and way of life. Though Aaseevaham created three landmark deities, Kali, Thirumagal, and Sarasuvathi, and three equivalent landmark deities on the male side, namely Siva, Vishnu, and Brahma, I am sure that Aaseevaham did not make families out of these deities, like Shiva, Kali, Vishnu, Lakshmi, and Brahma, Sarasuvathi. The reason is that all the female deities are only symbolic, while the male deities, especially Siva and Vishnu, were human siddhas who attained nirvana and parinirvana. Among male deities, only Brahma was a symbolic deity. Unlike Shiva, Vishnu, the parinirvana day of Brahma is not celebrated, and this proves that Brahma was only a symbolic deity. And moreover, all the Tirthankaras of Aaseevaham shall be called Brahmana, and hence there wasn't any Siddha to be specially called Brahmana, and hence it was only a symbolic deity. Hence, Shiva and Vishnu being human Siddhas, and Kali and Lakshmi being symbolic deities, there is no way that they were made families by Aaseevaha tradition. Hence, I feel strongly that this should have been done by the Indo-Aryans to build Hinduism and to erase any trace of their association with Aaseevaham. After constructing the three families, Aaseevaha primary deity, the Vinayaka, was inducted into Sivan Kali family as her elder son, albeit with an ugly story. We shall see Murugan was again an Aaseevaha Siddhar who was inducted into Shivan Kali family as a second son in part 6 of the video set. To hide the fact that Muruga was an Aaseevaha Siddha, the Indo-Aryans created Wisdom Mango story, and that as Vinayaka had won the Wisdom Mango, Muruga took to sannyasa and settled on Palani Hills. The funny thing here is that while Muruga was a real human Siddha and Vinayaka was only a symbolic deity representing a Siddha, the Indo-Aryans cleverly concocted a story pitting one against the other. More in video part 6. The Indo-Aryans destroyed Aaseevaham as the Siddhas were very critical of the ways of the Indo-Aryans, just like Buddha was against them. Moreover, ancient Tamil country was very rich compared to the rest of India, and the Aaseevaha ascetics were like Nandi, preventing the Indo-Aryans looting the rich Tamil country. Hence, the Indo-Aryans were quite vengeful against the Aaseevaha ascetics. We have literary evidence to show the cunning and destabilizing acts of Indo-Aryans in Tamil country, but that is beyond the scope of this video. Let us now return to the discussion on Aaseevaham. Since Aaseevaham existed for several thousands of years, Vinayaka, its primary symbol, was inducted into Sivan Kali family as her elder son to totally erase the history of Vinayaka along with Aaseevaham. Even though Vinayaka image itself was a fairly new compared to the age of Aaseevaham, Vinayaka is still called wholesome and primary god only because it represented Aaseevaham, which was a very ancient concept. Despite the fact that people forgot Aaseevaham as such, the basic info that it was the primary faith lingered in their mind. According to Hindu Puranic stories, the three Murtis were originally created by Vinayaka. To substantiate that story, the picture being shown now has just one body and with heads of Shiva, Vishnu, and four faces representing Brahma. Above all these faces, there is another face which is of Vinayaka. This proves that Vinayaka was the primary deity, as Hindu themselves claim that it is the wholesome and primary god, which is said in Tamil as Muzhumudar Kadavul. Hence, the three Murtis of Hinduism are actually the gods of Aaseevaham, whose constitution has been reordered with unbelievable anecdotes by the Indo-Aryans to suit their needs, and called it Hinduism, which were called Sivaniyam and Vinnavam originally, and during English rule they were called Saivam and Vainavam due to English alliteration. Conversion of Aaseevaham into Hinduism happened over several centuries, but it was completed by the time of Jnana Sambandha. Jnana Sambandha was the Indo-Aryan who nailed the last nail of the coffin of Aaseevaham. Though we have shown that Kali, Tirumahal and Sarasuvathi are Aaseevaha deities by showing their color concept, which somehow continues till today due to the merchant community, I was at spot to prove the Aaseevaha origin of male deities, as their color identity was totally lost in Tamil Nadu. Only Brahma is being shown with white beards and occasionally in white dress. The other two was not easy to prove. When I was searching the web, seeking proof of the color concept for the male deities, I was extremely delighted when the proof came from the Bali island of Indonesia. Tamil Nadu had trade and cultural ties with Indonesia for several thousand years, but it was lost some 800 years ago. Since Indonesia lost its ties with Tamil Nadu, it could retain the age-old practices as there was no vested interest like Indo-Aryans of India to destroy that practice. Gajagova, meaning elephant cave, of 9th century is situated at Ubud in Bali island of Indonesia. Within the cave, there are two chambers facing each other. In the chamber which faces the west, there is a Vinayaka statue, and the opposite cave facing east, there are three lingams. These are not Siva lingam, which means the phallus is not seen with the yoni. Hence, these lingams represent three male deities. This is a very important point. The same is said by the locals that these are Siva, Brahma, and Vishnu, and variety of blogs and articles confirm the same. Now, the important point is that Sivan is decorated with the black cloth, Brahma the white cloth, and Vishnu with the red cloth. It is not a fluke chance, and these are not decorated randomly, and it is always dressed in the same scheme, is proven by a number of such images we could get, and all are dressed in the standard way. Hence, we conclusively prove that Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma were originally Aaseevaham deities like their female counterparts. In the Vinayaka chamber, we see recesses or niches for meditation to be used by Siddhas, which proves that Aaseevaham was practiced at Bali too, and that Vinayaka was the god of Aaseevaham. The cave entrance is decorated with a carving of elephant, which proves that this is the center of Aaseevaham, as elephant symbolizes Aaseevaham, apart from the main god of the cave, Vinayaka, which was the primary deity of Aaseevaham. Hence, we have proven that the so-called Hinduism of today was constructed out of Aaseevaham deities only. The only thing that the Indo-Aryans did was to create obnoxious Puranic stories to explain their constructs and organization of the gods of Aaseevaham. Despite all the Puranic stories, unbelievable notions are omnipresent in their stories. For instance, Brahma was shown created out of umbilical cord of Vishnu, who is a male deity. Let me repeat, out of umbilical cord of Vishnu, a male deity. And again, another stupidity is that Brahma is having white beard and shown old, while Vishnu is shown young and clean shaven. How can an old person emerge from the umbilical cord of an young person? According to Aaseevaham, Brahma should be an aged person of wisdom, as it takes years of time to master all the arts and then attain nirvana stage. This general information remained in the minds of the people, which is reflected in Hinduism description also, rendering Brahma as old-aged. But Indo-Aryans concocted the unfitting story that old-aged Brahma emerged from the umbilical cord of the young Vishnu. Among Yelu Munis and Yelu Kannis, the seventh color is transparent, and hence it is not expected to be having an image. That means the seventh one is the same for both Munis and Kanyas, and hence it has no form and no sex, and is called Parabrahma, a supreme wisdom, a divine force which manifests as nature, of which we are all part of. Hence, a person of Aaseevaham faith could choose his deity, one with an image of his choice among the six, or without it, that is seventh, as per his emotional, intellectual, or philosophical needs. In fact, Aaseevaham is the container of all religious forms of the world, worshipping symbolic deities like that of Hinduism, worshipping philosophical gurus like Christianity, Jainism, Buddhism, etc., worshipping formless God like that of Islam as Parabrahman, worshipping humanoids like Ganesha as was with the ancient Greek customs, and finally worshipping elephant, snake, etc., called animism, Hence, Aaseevaham by its constitution is a synonym of secularism. This is so because Aaseevaham is the first and most ancient and most mature faith of humankind and created by Tamil Siddhas who have no parallel in the entire history of the world. Before ending this treatise, we shall like to discuss one important info. In every village in Tamil Nadu, one shall find on a raised platform a lone Vinayaka flanked in either side by a twisted snake pair and under a peepal tree. The peepal tree is called Aaseevaham in Tamil, which means government tree. It is called so because the village is administered from under this tree, as this tree offers cool and very big shade to accommodate large gathering. If there is anything to be discussed, the village people assemble under the tree and democratically arrive at solutions. The peepal tree is called Aaseevaham for yet another reason also. If there is any message from the king, it would be announced to the people under this tree after collecting the village people by tom-tom sound. The Vinayaka under the Aaseevaham is believed to guide villagers in finding solutions to the problems of the village. Villagers regularly worship this deity. In fact, Vinayaka is supposed to be doing what Aaseevaham Siddhas were doing in the past. The twisted snake structure implies that Vinayaka is assisted by the awakened Kundalini Shakti in delivering solutions to the villagers. Kundalini would have been a distorted word which would have been originally called Kundriyanagam or Surandanagam in Tamil. Since Vinayaka represents Siddhas who are seen by the lay Tamils as people of medicine, and since Siddhas are related to twisted snakes reflecting their yogic power, the emblem of medicine of the world happens to be Caduceus, said to be a Greek symbol, which originated actually from Tamil Nadu, and this needs no further elaboration. The peepal tree and Vinayaka are always installed near water sources, whether they be man-made sacred tanks or lakes or natural rivers. This would provide water needs of the people who assemble under the tree for discussing issues. One more interesting observation could be made here. Sarasuvathi goddess is called so and she is said to live in Tadagam, that is, a water body. Sarasu means water body and Vati means one who resides. Saraswati is the one who resides on water. We have already stated that many of the Tamil words starting with the sound A would also start with the sound Sa with almost the same meaning or related meaning. Hence, Aaseevaham with Vinayaka is always planted on the banks of the water body where Saraswati was supposed to reside. She should have been originally called Sarasuvathi, that is, one who lives near the premises of the government, as she is the lady god of wisdom and hence helps the administrators with wisdom. Hence, Aaseevaham would have been called Saraswati, and hence this way Sarasu would have meant water body. The viewer would have seen how Tamil people are related to Aaseevaham and can compare the role of peepal tree in Indus civilization. That is, female goddess is always seen with the peepal tree, which is nothing but the Aaseevaham. This might be yet another proof linking Indus Valley civilization with the Tamils. Hence, Brahma and Sarasuvathi were not the gods of Indo-Aryans, and they are part and parcel of Aaseevaham faith. In the discussion so far, we have left out Indra, who again is a Tamil god of the seas. We shall bring out a video later on this topic, giving ample proof of our standing on this. In our next video, we shall investigate who the god Muruga is.